Welcome everyone to Lesson 7. Today we're going to finish our conversation about external words, phrases, and dependent clauses. In the last two lessons, we talked about the three safe places to add external words, phrases, and dependent clauses. And those three safe places are before the actor, between the actor and the action, and after the answer. In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to put the external information between the actor and the action. Now, because it is external, it must be set off with a comma, but because it occurs in the middle of the foundational clause, we have to put a comma before the external information and after the external information. That's what will set it apart from the foundational clause. When external phrases or clauses occur between the actor and the action, they can describe the actor or the action. In our foundational clause, the building towered above the city, we're going to add the phrase black against the night sky. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug that in and we're going to set it off with commas, and the new sentence will read, the building, comma, black against the night sky, comma, towered above the city. This time let's add an external clause to describe our building. The clause will be which had been built a century earlier. Now don't forget, which is functioning as the actor of this dependent clause. It kind of stands in for the building. It's a relative pronoun. It is dependent, of course, so it can't stand alone, but we can plug it in the middle of our foundational clause. The new sentence would read, the building, which had been built a century earlier, towered above the city. Don't forget to set it off with those commas. When trying to determine if a phrase or clause should be treated as internal or external, remember the following guides. If it begins with that, and sometimes who, it is most likely internal, so no commas. If it begins with which, an ing word, or an ed word, it is most likely external, so don't forget to add those commas. This is also sometimes the case with subordinating conjunctions and two equal adjectives. So here are some examples. The water that is boiling on the stove is for tea. The word that makes it internal, no commas. The penny, which is our least popular currency, should be abolished. This independent clause is interrupted with what I call a which clause, so don't forget to add the commas. The CEO, retired now, moved to Argentina last year. See that ed word? So that works as an external phrase here, so it gets the commas. The retired teacher, when not fishing, can be found at the library. When is a subordinating conjunction, so that's why it's kind of set off. It separates it from the independent clause, from the foundational clause. The house, old and dilapidated, should be condemned. And here we have two equal adjectives describing the house, so we set them off with commas. So we've covered the three safe places to add external words, phrases, and dependent clauses. Now that we know how to do this, we can add multiple external words, phrases, and dependent clauses onto different parts of a foundational clause and create a kind of super sentence. When we look at our original foundational clause, we had the building towered above the city. If we add external information to the beginning, the middle, and the end of that sentence, we might get something like, no matter where we went, the building, a dark and foreboding structure, towered above the city, its presence magnified by the starkness of the night sky. Now, I would personally remove that central phrase, a dark and foreboding structure. Then you might get something like, no matter where we went, the building towered above the city, its presence magnified by the starkness of the night sky. To me, that sounds better, it flows better. And that's really what it's all about. It's about listening to your sentences and deciding what phrases and clauses you want to add and which ones you want to take out. Just be sure that when you're adding that external information, make sure it is indeed a word, a phrase, or a dependent clause, and you should be all right. And don't forget what we've learned so far. Before you can build complex sentences, you have to have the foundation. The foundation is the independent clause, and it must have an actor and an action working together, and you should probably give it an answer as well. As always, thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll join me in the next lesson when we talk about the colon and the em dash and how to use it with foundational clauses. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.